authorities to establish how such burials could have occurred without their knowledge and consent. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on the following. Number one, the cause of death of the late Jessica Kashutu Zero, whether on any post-mortem examination was conducted in Saudi Arabia, and the post-mortem report. Number two, details of the person or body that granted authorization of the burial of the late Jessica Kashutu Zero and the other Kenyan citizens in Saudi Arabia without the consent of their families, and whether the government of Kenya was notified. Number three, the steps taken by the ministry to facilitate the exhumation and repatriation of the remains of the deceased person to Kenya for proper burial by their families. And lastly, number four, the measures in place to ensure that Kenyans working abroad, especially domestic workers, are accorded their rights and that their employers are held accountable for any death, unpaid dues, or violations of international labor laws. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
So it will be marked to the Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations, Honorable Raso. Honorable Raso? Oh, Honorable Raso, no, he's in defense. Oh, no, he's internal security. Who is in defense and foreign relations? If not, I will nominate. Okay, yes, please. Honorable Yusuf, you can give an undertaking on behalf of your committee. How many weeks do you need to respond to it?
2 weeks, I would say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is a statement by Honorable Gideon Ochanda. Is he here?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee of Tourism and Wildlife regarding the persistent and escalating crocodile menace along the lower River Yala, particularly in Imbo North and in Imbo East. Honorable Speaker, it is a matter of grave concern that for over 3 years, residents of the mentioned locations have been subjected to recurrent attacks and threats posed by the crocodiles inhabiting the lower River Yala. These incidents have resulted in loss of lives, injuries, and disruption of livelihoods, especially among the communities that depend on the river for domestic use, livestock, and farming activities. Among several fatalities are 2 young pupils, Suleiman Oduor and Pascal Okoth. Mrs. Lucia Dhiambo Ouma, John Otieno Okeo, and Ezekiel Nyamwasi also lost their lives in this unfortunate series of attacks. Despite numerous reports and appeals to the relevant authorities, there has been no adequate intervention to address this existing danger. The continued inaction has exposed the residents to untold suffering and heightened insecurity. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Tourism and Wildlife on the following. 1, measures undertaken by the relevant government agencies over the past 3 years to mitigate the crocodile menace in the lower River Yala, including any assessments or mapping of human-wildlife conflict hotspots and the outcomes thereof. 2, the reasons for the delay or failure by the concerned departments to implement effective and sustainable intervention to safeguard residents of the said locations despite repeated reports and appeals. 3, the status of the compensation for victims affected by the reported crocodile attacks, including reasons for the failure to address claims relating to loss of life and livestock, and a clear timeline for when the affected families will receive full compensation. 4, the immediate and long-term measures the government is undertaking to protect the community and eliminate or significantly reduce the threat posed by crocodiles, including deployment of response teams, installation of warning systems, constructions of protective barriers, and community sensitization initiatives. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. That will be marked to the Committee on Tourism and Wildlife. Is there a member of that committee here? Yes, proceed.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'll be able to give a comprehensive response within the next 2 weeks.
That's what is your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to inform the Honorable Oundo that first, I'm sorry that the crocodiles are wreaking havoc for the people along Lower Ribayala, but can he consider taking a group of fishermen from that area to go and benchmark from Tana River, because they eat crocodiles, so that they know how to trap them. That is food. They just need to know how to fish crocodiles as well, because when I was in Tana River last time, Madam Speaker, I ate a quarter kg of crocodile. I added 5 weights. 5 kgs, Honorable Madam Speaker.
Thank you for the advice. I'm sure Honorable Chanda has noted that. Next, let's go to, there was a response expected from the Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Affairs Committee on a statement that was given by Dr. Ariko, member for Turkana South. Is a member for Turkana South here? Okay, and did the chairperson assign anyone to give this answer? It's okay, I think it has to move to another day because it seems like no one is here to do it. Okay, thank you. We'll just defer it to the next time. Yes, I know, yeah. Next also,
1.5 billion was to be released in July 2025 and used for the payment of staff salaries and arrears. A total of 500 million was received on 7th of August 2025 and used for payment of July 2025 and August 2025 salaries. 1 billion shillings was also received on 19th of September 2025. 600 million was used to pay for payment of staff salaries, arrears, and the balance used to pay the September 2025 and October 2025 salaries. As such, Honorable Speaker, the promise was met. On the issue of the government also, according to the MOU, who is the lessor, shall continue to pay salary arrears at a rate of 1.17 billion to be verified on quarterly basis until 30th of June 2026. The status is such that the funds have not been received. The National Treasury is expected to disburse 1 billion shillings soon. So the ministry expects 1 billion shillings soon for the settlement of the employees' salaries. Honourable Speaker, one of the reasons for failure by the ministry to settle arrears owed to workers, farmers and suppliers to Sony Sugar Company by July 2025, as earlier indicated, the Cabinet Secretary stated that salary arrears were to be settled by July 2026 and not July 2025 as detailed above. Delay in payment has been caused by the late receipt of exchequer from the National Treasury. Honourable Speaker, on the issue of the total amount owed to the workers and farmers, indicating the number of people affected following the restructuring of the Sony Sugar Company by the private investor and the amount due to each, the Cabinet Secretary responded stating that auditors from the National Treasury are currently undertaking the audit of all the pending payments to establish the final payment due. And on the final issue, Honourable Speaker, on the measures by the ministry specifying the budgetary provisions meant to ensure immediate settlement of all the pending arrears and the timelines for payment, the ministry has made a request to the National Treasury for allocation of funds for the settlement of all the pending arrears. Payment will be made as and when the funds are received. Honourable Speaker, I submit. Thank you very much.
Honourable Member for Awendo, are you satisfied?
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to appreciate the response. However, I am not satisfied, Madam Speaker, because the Cabinet Secretary is not giving us a specific date when these arrears will be sorted out, Madam Speaker. Secondly, the allocated 1 billion Kenya shillings that they are talking about is not adequate, considering that we are talking about 4 factories which are supposed to, this money is supposed to be divided amongst the 4 government-owned factories which are facing a similar challenge, Madam Speaker. So the 1 billion shillings is not adequately going to address that. Again, we need to consider that the employees, the beneficiaries that we are talking about here, Madam Speaker, not all of them are still working for those companies. Some of them stopped working when these leases came and started doing restructuring, which affected them. So we are talking about people who are now jobless and are supposed to be relying on these monies that should be paid to them for survival. Again, in my statement, I had requested for payment arrears for farmers and suppliers who also worked for Sony Sugar. This one has never been mentioned by the Cabinet Secretary, Madam Speaker. So I am not satisfied. I would want the specific date given, number one. Number two, the amount is little, considering the beneficiaries. Again, I would want the ministry to address the issue of suppliers and farmers who are also waiting for their monies. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I know Honorable Wangwe, you wanted to comment.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to actually suggest that the Honorable Chair has tried to respond, yes, but there is more we would want him to add on. Especially, Honorable Speaker, remembering the report of the Committee on Finance, which we passed here in this House, which suggested the issue of privatization of the 4 mills together and then left out Mumias Sugar and said Mumias Sugar is to be treated on its own. It made, Honorable Speaker, where the Honorable Chair was present in that committee together with myself, we suggested that the Mumias Sugar will be dealt at the Committee of Agriculture. I want him also, Honorable Speaker, to suggest that he also says what is the committee doing or what is the ministry doing with respect to the employees of Mumias Sugar. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I hope the Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Chairperson has noted those issues raised, and then you can take them into consideration. Would you like to say something?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the response from the CS is as per the Memorandum of Understanding. And the CS has specifically stated what was in the MOU and what the government has done. And so far, Honorable Speaker, if we may be fair to the government, the CS has indicated that 2.5 billion has been paid. And as per the MOU, the 2.5 billion has already, is what was captured in the MOU. What is remaining is 1.17. But, Honorable Speaker, there is an audit going on to establish the actual figure. During the presentation of the discussions, during the presentation by the Ministry of the supplementary budget, we noted that these arrears are growing exponentially, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you realize that they are multiplied by a huge factor. And that is why the audit was commissioned. It's only the audit that can tell us how much arrears they are going to be. And then we are looking at a situation where we might be calling for rescheduling of the arrears. But, Honorable Speaker, I'll take the comments of this House and the sentiments by the members to the ministry so that they can respond as appropriate. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Karoli.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I did ask a question about the leasing of the sugar mills, and no response was ever given. I've asked it a second time. So when I had this opportunity, please allow me just to ask 1 or 2 things or make some comments. Number one, we are dealing with liabilities that have already accrued. But this House has not been informed whether there was notice of transfer of business when leasing the sugar mills. Because there should have been a notice of transfer of business so that those who are owed money by the sugar mills would have come out to claim, whether they were lawyers, transporters, cane farmers, and the rest. We need to see in this House the lease agreements for the sugar mills. We have not seen that. We need to see the investment plans. Are the guys who have leased the mills going to put up new machinery? What are the timelines? When are they going to introduce new lines of business? But most importantly, we want to be advised how has the nucleus estate of these sugar mills been treated? The spare parts that were there, the inventories, the receivables, because people have walked into the sugar mills.
Honorable Kalori,
yes.
A minute, there's a point of order. What's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, as you have noted, the Honorable Karoli is making such issues of great gravity on matters that are of great concern to Kenyans. And I wanted to know, Madam Speaker, if he is properly in order to be riding on a comment, on a statement made, to make such groundbreaking comments that are of great concern to Kenyans. Madam Speaker, what Honorable Karoli is presenting, does that belong to a substantive motion or does it belong to a comment? Because even this House would be the better to benefit from the wisdom that is coming from Honorable Karoli on very important and critical issues that are of great import to this country, Madam Speaker. So kindly guide Madam Speaker, so that the comments that Honorable Karoli is making are not just lost as just comments in these proceedings. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
I will allow him to ventilate on the issue, provided, of course, if he's a responsible member, he will follow up with the committee when they are considering the issue.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. That was the spirit in which I was speaking, because it is a matter of public interest, and actually under Article 35, the entire investment package for the leases should have been presented to this House for members to interrogate. And the final question I was raising is we need to know how the nuclear estate of the leased sugar mills has been treated. Was there evaluation report? What about the inventories? What about the spare parts that were there? What about the investments that these companies have made? Because these are public interest issues. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
What I would advise, Honorable Karoli, maybe you should do an independent statement
Yes,
seeking that information.
I've submitted 2 questions and they've never been brought to the floor of the House. I have 2 questions on these issues. Yes.
No, I don't. Usually, if they go to the Speaker's office, they approve the statement and brought here. Not as a question. As a statement, as a requesting information. But
They should stop their work, doing their work, and bring it here. We bring audited accounts here, we bring the agreements here, we bring the investment plans here. Honorable Speaker, let Honorable Karoli Omondi ask the question or request for a statement, and then the work will be done. Other than this House being engaged in this level of detail.
yes, okay, let's proceed, Honorable Karoli. You're properly guided. Yes, yeah, Honorable Karoli. I think now we can move to the next statement. We have a general statement by the member for Lamu East. Honorable Captain Rueda.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 43, I raise to make a general statement regarding the first birth certificate issued in Lamu East constituency.
Honorable Rueda. Recognize a school that's in the public gallery before they leave. I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of Kopala Secondary School from Nyatike constituency, Migori County. On behalf of myself and the National Assembly, we welcome you to the presence of Parliament. Okay, you may proceed. You can start again, Honorable Rueda.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 43, I raise to make a general statement regarding the first birth certificate issued in Lamu East constituency. Honorable Speaker, on Wednesday, 8th April 2026, Lamu East constituency recorded a significant milestone with the issuance of its first birth certificate within the constituency. The achievement is particularly noteworthy given the previously resident would travel long distance to Mokoi in Lamu West constituency to access birth registration service. Honorable Speaker, the decentralization of civil registration service to Lamu East constituency mark a remarkable step towards enhancing access to essential government services, promoting inclusivity, and safeguard the right of citizens. It will significantly reduce the burden of residents while improving the efficiency of the service delivery. It will also ease access of government service and enable registration for and access school capitation. Honorable Speaker, this development underscores the importance of continued investment in administrative infrastructure and service delivery at the grassroots level in the country. I therefore wish to recommend all government agencies who facilitated this historical milestone to ensure residents of Lamu East constituency are accorded the same service as the rest of Kenyans. Speaker, naomba kidogo nizungumze. Jambo hili ni muhimu sana, lakini halionekani muhimu kwa watu wengine. Mimi nikizungumzia leo kwamba stakabadhi za birth zinapatikana mwanzo kwetu, watu wanaona ni kitu gani hiyo. Lakini kutoka uhuru upatikane Kenya, sisi watu wa Lamu Mashariki tumekuwa miaka yote tukienda Lamu West kuchukua birth certificate, na imekuwa ni gharama kubwa. Mtu akiunga anatoa 8,400 ndio apate birth certificate. Lakini kwa watu wengine jambo hilo si lolote. Ndio maana nilikuwa nasema wale ambao hawana heshima na rais wetu wangekaziwa, wakaekaa kwa baridi kwa miaka ile bakia yote. Wakae kwa baridi ndio watakuwa na heshima kwa rais. Rais maendeleo yote anapeleka kwao na bado wana mdomo kwa sababu wameshiba. Ingekuwa vizuri rais asiwabembeleze tena. Wale wanatoa mdomo wakazio wasifanye maendeleo. Maendeleo ije kule kwetu ambao tuna heshima sisi. Kama mtu hana heshima naye akae hivyo hivyo asipate maendeleo. Wao wanaendelea kupata maendeleo mengi, sisi ndio maendeleo tunaanza sasa. Hiyo maendeleo ije kwetu. Watu wazima leaders lakini hawana heshima, anakosea president heshima. President asiende mwanzo huko kwao tena, aje huko kwetu. Tunamkaribisha aje huko kwetu inshallah. Asante.
Mpatie mic, give him to mic. Chonga, proceed honorable Chonga, then we give honorable Zamzam.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi pia namuunga mkono sana Ruwaida Obo kwa yale maneno ambayo ameyasema kwa siku hii ya leo. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka kusema kitu kimoja. Historia haitafutika. Na nikisema historia haitafutika, tangu wakati wa Mheshimiwa hayati Jomo Kenyatta, marais wampita wengi, lakini siku ambayo Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto ndio anakuwa rais, ndio birth certificate ya kwanza imeanza kutoka katika Lamu, sehemu ambayo Mheshimiwa Ruwaida amesema. Na tunapongeza sana kwa shauri kule, ilikuwa watu wakipata shida mpaka mwisho ukenda ukifanywa vetting ati waambiwa uzungumze kwa lugha ya kule, wamkuta mtu wazungumza huyu mwana mkunzu unamtopoa ili ndio ujulikane zaidi kwa ati wewe ni mtu wa Lamu. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, siku hii ya leo nataka kusema mgala muue lakini haki yake umpe. Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto amfanya mambo ambayo wengine hawajayafanya. Leo katika sehemu hiyo hiyo mheshimiwa, watu walikuwa hawajaona hata lami. Lami ilikuwa mtu akiangalia aweza kufikiria akakimbia mbio akafikiri huyu ni mtu mweusi mrefu, kumbe lami. Lakini Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto amfanya kazi ile. Mheshimiwa Spika, nashukuru, nasema kuwa haya mambo ya vitambulisho si peke yake kuwa ati imetoka bathi ya kwanza. Watu wa vitambulisho waende kwenye maskuli Lamu, wawape watu vitambulisho watoto waliofika miaka 14 ndani ya Lamu katika mambo kama haya. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, katika kumalizia, kwa vile umenipa nafasi ya kuona kuwa niweze kuongea, nachukua fursa hii Mheshimiwa Spika kutuma rambirambi zangu kwa rafiki yangu sana Mheshimiwa rafiki yangu sana MD wa KPA Captain Ruto kwa kupoteza mtoto wake, na kumwambia kuwa awe na subira na yale ambayo ameweza kumpata ni mpango wa Mwenyezi Mungu, na sisi tuko pamoja na yeye. Na leo tunasema yeye ni mtu ambaye alikuwa akipeleka bandari kwa njia ambayo ni ya sawa. Amepata msiba ule, si msiba wake peke yake. Mheshimiwa ndugu yetu Captain Ruto, msiba ule ni msiba wetu sote. Mungu amweke mahali pema peponi mtoto wako ambaye tutakuja kumzika huko Nakuru. Asante na Mwenyezi Mungu atubariki.
Thank you Mheshimiwa Twalib. Mheshimiwa Zamzam.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kumpongeza dadangu Ruwaida, na kwanza awali nimpongeze Mheshimiwa Rais kwa kuweza kuona wapwani ni wa Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, sisi tulikuwa tumetengwa miaka mingi sana, hata vitambulisho ilikuwa ni shida. Mtu umeolewa, umezaa watoto, una vijukuu, lakini kitambulisho una, kwa sababu hata birth certificate yenyewe huwezi kupata. Kwa hiyo leo sisi tunaona fahari kubwa, watu wanaweza kuona nini birth certificate, nini kitambulisho, kwa sababu kuna maendeleo mengine makubwa. Lakini hicho ndio chanzo cha mtu kujulikana ni Mkenya halisi, akahesabika na akaweza kupata maendeleo mengine. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi kitu nataka nimwambie Rais, watu watapiga kelele wengi sana, wewe kaza buti, shika kasi, tuko nyuma yako na tunakusukuma uende mbele na wala hatuwezi kurudi nyuma. Na nikirudi pale ambapo Mheshimiwa Badi amezungumza, MD wa port William Ruto, sisi tunampa rambirambi zetu za pole. Ni ndugu yangu, na mimi nasema mtoto wetu Jelimo, Mwenyezi Mungu amweke na wema peponi. Ni amri ya Mungu, lakini na yeye pamoja na familia yake waweze kupoa, na sisi tutakwenda na Mheshimiwa Badi kwenye mazishi. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Mheshimiwa Raso first.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Rueda for her statement. I think for those of us who are minorities, who come from distant places, and people who are generally marginalized, and they don't form the mainstream communities of Kenya, I think it is this time we are properly identifying ourselves as to be true Kenyans. As the patron of the pastoralist parliamentary group, it is this government that has said all Kenyans, irrespective of where they come from, must get an ID card and birth certificate. Because without an ID card, you cannot make any transaction in Kenya. Opening a bank statement, going to college, basically you are a stateless citizen. What Honorable Rueda there is saying, there are small things that we take for granted. But for others, it is like an earthquake. You can imagine 60-something years after independence that the people of Lamu can get a birth certificate. It is 60-something years after independence that a young Borana boy from Marsabit can go to registration office to get an ID card without being told, bring your grandfather, bring your grandmother, bring their ID cards, bring their death certificates. I think Kenya is changing under William Samoei Arap Ruto. We must appreciate what is happening. There is a lot of grit that people are throwing around, that Ruto is one term, Ruto is not doing enough. If there's a president who has worked tirelessly for this country since independence, I think this is the president. And as Kenyans, we must appreciate. Some of us, without fear of any contradiction, I think we are unafraid to say that we elected the right man to lead this country, this time in the 21st century. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member for Dagoretti, Honorable KJ.
Bi Speaker, na ningependa nimpongeze sana Mheshimiwa Rueda wa kutoka kule Lamu kwa kuwa jambo kama hili ambalo analisema ni jambo ambalo linahusu Wakenya wote, kwamba kunayo maeneo ya nchi hii ambayo yameweza kufanikiwa kupata bahati ya kupata rais wa kwanza, maeneo haya yakapata rais wa tatu, kisha yakapata rais wa nne. Lakini kelele hiyo ambayo Mheshimiwa Rueda anasema, ningependa nimjulishe kwamba ni kelele ambayo inajulikana kama kelele ya chura, ambayo haiwezi ikamzuia ng'ombe kunywa maji. Kwamba hata kwenye maeneo hayo ambayo anayoyataja, wananchi wa maeneo haya wanaweza kujionea maendeleo ambayo hatujawahi kuyaona tangu nchi ya Kenya iwe huru, tangu dunia ilipoumbwa, Mheshimiwa Speaker, kwamba hata wale ambao wanatajwa na Mheshimiwa Rueda wanashangaa kwamba mabarabara kama yale ya Mau Mau ambayo yalikuwa yamekwama kwenye maeneo yetu, maeneo hayo yamekwamuliwa, Mheshimiwa Speaker. Bi Speaker, kwamba nchi ambayo ilikuwa haiwezi ikalipa madeni yake kwa sababu ilikuwa imejikanganya kwa madeni, nchi hiyo imeweza kuanza kulipa madeni yake. Mheshimiwa Speaker, hata kwa maeneo hayo ambayo wengine wetu tunatoka, kuna yale ambayo tumekuwa tukiyadai tangia nchi ilipobuniwa, lakini mpaka wa leo hayajatimizwa. Jambo ambalo na kuunga mkono Mheshimiwa Rueda ni kwamba vile ambavyo ungependa Lamu iwe inafanikiwa, vile ungependa Lamu iwe inaendelea mbele, hata sisi wengine wa Kenya Tungependa eneo zetu ziendelee mbele hivyo, na tumweleze Mheshimiwa Rais kwamba kelele hii ya chura isimzuie kunywa maji kama yeye ni ng'ombe. Nimalizie Bi Speaker kwa kusema kwamba viongozi wa nchi lazima wataheshimu itikadi na mila zetu, kwamba ikijia masuala kama mambo ya mazishi, Mheshimiwa Spika, mazishi ni sisi kwenda kuomboleza na jamii ambazo zinaomboleza, wala sisi tukiwa wanasiasa hatuwezi tukabadilisha kwamba mazishi yawe ni jukwaa la kisiasa. Ningependa niseme kwamba ni aibu kubwa tumeiona leo ambapo tulikuwa tunamsindikiza ndugu yetu ambaye ni mheshimiwa mmoja wetu ambaye ni wakule Olkalau. Mambo ambayo tumeyaona Mheshimiwa Spika, nikitumia sauti hiyo ya Mheshimiwa Roida, ningependa niyakemee kwa kuwa mazishi ni ya jamii, wengine ni waombolezaji, na siasa haina nafasi yoyote kwenye mazishi yoyote ama vita vya ubabe kwenye mazishi. Mheshimiwa Spika, nampongeza Mheshimiwa Roida kwa maendeleo hayo ambayo yanapatikana Lamu. Tunadai hayo maendeleo Kenya nzima. Asante sana Bi Speaker.
Honorable Member for Dagoretti North, Beatrice Elachi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allowed me to thank, Madam Speaker, sorry, to allow me to thank Raider, Honorable Raider of Lamu East. Madam Speaker, this issue of IDs, the women of this country are the ones who have suffered most. You realize when you are a woman, a young girl who got married at the age of 16, you will struggle so much to just get an ID. You will struggle so much for your children to get birth certificates, especially if you got married and then decided this was not my right time and left. And so you find women in the slums, even to date, we will have to go and really struggle to really request the officers to just understand this woman. Why is it she's in her age of 20, 21, 25 and does not have a national ID? And so one of the things we must do as we even look at the statement of Raider, Madam Speaker, is to ask government that any woman who got married underage and is now a mother, does not have a national ID, must be allowed to go and get a national ID. Not with the husband's ID, I don't know what those things they ask, but she can go back home and ask the father's ID and let her register as a Kenyan, just to get that ID to help her. Number two, Madam Speaker, children from the borders of Busia, I find them, so many of them in Dagoretti North, they also struggle with that issue of ID because they come from the borders. And it's not just them, even the children of women who have been given birth in the borders of Taveta, they go through the same challenge. Any border line where we have Kenyans, you find those Kenyans really struggling. So for me, first I want to thank His Excellency the President on this matter of ID. It's not a joke. And let us agree, one of the mistakes we did in this country is that when you are not aligned to government, they denied you everything that was needed. And that is one thing we did even during election time. If you are not aligned with the president that you want, Madam Speaker, there will be no ID in that region. And so, for the first time, IEBC is in the estates. Can people go and register? So that you don't just say, oh, I will remove. There is nothing like removing any person. You must plan. You must strategize. And if that person knows how to plan and to put things in order, he will win. It's not about the numbers you see all over where we go for rallies and we are doing all this. It is 1 week to an election that tells you that person is winning or losing. The rest, we can play drama, we can do all these things. But one thing I like about the president and how I wish one day I can stand firm. Firm. Because one of the weaknesses we have is not standing firm. We must learn one thing from the president, Daktari William Samoei Ruto, that you must stand firm when you have been given responsibility to build a nation. And this nation is not about joking with the nation, because I see everyone just talking. I want to tell everyone going to talk shows and everyone, prepare to come to the ground and be elected for you to come and do better than I did. That should be the agenda. That should be the best way. But just abusing and doing, and you're not coming, but you know every day how Kenya can move, please come and show it in example, implement what you're telling us. But do not just tell us and then run away when the ball is now in the court, when we need you to come and compete and tell Kenyans what you want. That should be the agenda, Madam Speaker. Change the mindset on how we see things. Because Mheshimiwa Kiaraho never ever, but more importantly, help us to be leaders who focus beyond what we believe in, what we think is right as our tribe, but Kenya should be our tribe. Kenya should be where we focus. I appreciate the president does not care whether you'll abuse him, but he will bring maendeleo, because he is the president. He is supposed to develop the nation, not to follow what we are saying. I beg to support, Madam Speaker.
The last person I'll give a chance to ride on this is Honorable Malungu.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity that I can also ride on this statement, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what Captain Rueda has just been able to articulate on, Madam Speaker, are things that are quite common and things that actually happen in this country. You know, when you hear sections of this country that were forgotten, sections of this country that were designed to be sections that don't belong to this country, Madam Speaker, and to get good reports like we've had today, Madam Speaker, this is something that one should actually applaud. She's talked about a birth registration center, Madam Speaker. I know the pain our mamas go through in trying to acquire a basic requirement like a birth certificate, Madam Speaker. And therefore, the fact that the great people of Lamu East can actually be able to access a birth certificate at a nearby area, Madam Speaker, is something that we should all applaud, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the same note, Rwanda constituency is one such constituency that never had a birth certificate, Madam Speaker. My people will travel all the way from Rwanda town, a place known as Ochore, or a place known as Munungo, all the way to Mbale, to acquire a basic right like a birth certificate, Madam Speaker. This afternoon, Madam Speaker, I want to declare in this House that 2 weeks ago, we were actually accredited to have a birth registration center in Rwanda, Madam Speaker. That, to me, is a move that actually should be applauded. Because never again will my great ladies, men and women, travel all that far to acquire a basic document like a birth registration certificate. We are aware that nowadays to register a kid in a school, you need to have this document. Long before, Madam Speaker, people just walk into a class, put your hand over your head and enter into a school. Nowadays, you need to have a document that ensures that you also capture the enemies. And therefore, I join in saying that we celebrate the government, and I want to celebrate the government today for having given Rwanda a birth registration center that never had, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, apart from that, we've also seen great developments happening, not only in Lamu, but also in my place where I am, Madam Speaker, and many other places around this country. And Swahili people say that mgema muue na haki fanya nini? Mpe. So I believe, Madam Speaker, that's actually what we should say. Let us just appreciate the same, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I come from Western Kenya. For many years, our people have perished and slept on the road from Nairobi here all the way to Western Kenya, Madam Speaker. Right now, people are celebrating that we are now having the greatest corridor from Lironi all the way to Mosamit, which will actually ease
187 TVET students across the country. And Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, the majority of these members of parliament have established TTIs in their constituencies. And so they have contributed to the middle level management in institutions. This institution that is being established, the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, that will be established at Konza City. This is the equivalent of the MITs in the US, the Korea Advanced Science, Korea Institute of Science, KAIST of South Korea. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, this is a serious feat in terms of development of this country. Madam Speaker, this is a university which will be offering postgraduate degrees. And it is expected that the students who will be admitted to this university at Konza City, Madam Speaker, and we are not speaking about a university that is intended to be established. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, this university has already been constructed. It is fully in place for members of parliament who want to visit. In fact, my committee, the Committee on Delegated Legislation, will be visiting this university next week on Wednesday. We are informed reliably, including the chair himself of ICT committee, that the university has been established on 14 acres, Madam Speaker, fully constructed. In fact, the government of South Korea has already seconded 7 professors for the 7 thematic areas that this university will be offering to the prospective students who will be admitted, not only from Kenya, but from across the world. And so we have 7 professors already in residence at Konza, Madam Speaker, from KAIST, from the same institute in South Korea. So we expect this to be the only university in Africa that is offering postgraduate degrees in this region. So, Madam Speaker, the establishment of this institute is a major milestone towards the development of innovation and research in line with the National Research Fund Strategic Plan 2023 to 2027 and Vision 2030, and also the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The proposed university, Madam Speaker, is anchored on a postgraduate academic model designed to position Kenya and the broader African region as a competitive hub for advanced learning in research and innovation. The institute is set to commence with 7 flagship postgraduate programs, that is Masters and PhD, in the following disciplines, Madam Speaker. Number 1 would be medical engineering, nuclear engineering, Madam. Mechanical engineering. Number 2, nuclear engineering. Number 3, electrical and electronic engineering. Number 3, civil and environmental engineering. Number 5, ICT engineering. Number 6, chemical engineering. And the last one, agrobiotechnology engineering, Madam Speaker. These are courses that are not ordinarily offered by all the other universities, which now number about 70 across this country. The institute aims at building a critical mass of scientists and engineers who will advance research and development. As you know, Madam Speaker, there is no country which can develop without scientists, and particularly who are involved in research. As you know, and I know one of the most interested person on this topic, Madam Speaker, is the Honorable Nyikal, the chair of the Committee of Health. You remember when sometimes at the peak of the outbreak of HIV/AIDS, we discovered some medicine at that time called, was it called Kemron? Yeah, Kemron. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, because we did not have this university, a university of similar nature, we were not able to advance, and ours was declared to have not met the international standards. I hope when we move the next, without anticipating debate in the next motion or next order paper in which we'll speak to that issue. You know, for us to be able to advance research in this nation, we need to have such an institute, Madam Speaker, that is well advanced in digital and research skills, which will enable our own students to be very competitive in line with the evolving labor market demands, and also in line with the bottom-up transformational agenda. The Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology will also promote collaboration with the private sector to facilitate technology transfer, which we have talked about. I mean, I studied this, and you studied also in the university, and we keep talking about technology transfer. And this university will ensure that this comes into fruition, and also support research, training, and development, and further strengthen workforce competitiveness. Madam Speaker, we have not been competitive in research issues because we have not had a university that is dedicated to postgraduate research. In scrutinizing the draft charter, Madam Speaker, of this institute, the committee made the following observations and noted, in particular, the following significant and important salient features of the charter. Number one, the cabinet approved this charter on the 11th of March 2025 and for the establishment of this institute. Number two, the Commission on University Education subjected the institute to an accreditation process and confirmed that it had met all minimum statutory and academic requirements prescribed by the Commission. And finally, that the institute will advance digital and research skills, thus enhancing employability in line with the evolving labor market demands, and as I've just said, in line also with the bottom-up transformational agenda and Vision 2030. Madam Speaker, the committee, we are happy therefore to report to this House that this committee recommended, the Committee on Delegated Legislation recommends that this House approves the draft charter for the establishment of the Kenya Institute of Science and Technology, and as it complies with the Constitution and all the other enabling legislations, Madam Speaker, which includes the Universities Act. And we had the opportunity, Madam Speaker, to meet the Commission on University Education, and they confirmed that this university will be a unique university, and which we need to approve as soon as we can, Madam Speaker. And so I beg to move and request the former Minister for Internal Security, the Honorable Sunguli, to second.
Madam Speaker, in seconding this important motion, I wish to first state that as a Committee of Delegated Legislation, our primary responsibility was to look at the Charter to see if it complied with the law and the Constitution. And we want to confirm that we had a tooth-comb analysis of this charter. We looked at it, and it is fully compliant with the law, and it's compliant with the Constitution. As far as the substance of the charter is concerned, Madam Speaker, there are two things about the Kenya, Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, the Kenya style, because it also exists in another country, but this is ours. It is, first of all, it is a unique university, and it's unique in two ways. First, this university is only going to offer graduate studies, not undergraduate studies. So you only go there to get a postgraduate degree, either a master's or a PhD. That is a unique part of this university. Secondly, it is a specialized university. Our able chairman has just stated that it is areas that have not been emphasized before, like the nuclear studies, like more advanced postgraduate in mechanization. And Madam Speaker, this special university is supposed to serve the interest of Kenya as we advance our journey towards the 2030 and even beyond ambition. Madam Speaker, these things, this new university will also be backed by industry a lot. Because one of the important things in any industry is R&D, the research and development. And you know, if we emphasize research and development in our studies, we are going to get better product, and we are going to get, in Kenya, we are going to get industrialized much easier than if we continue doing the things the way we are doing today. The mere fact that it is heavily backed by Korea also in terms of its approach and in fact its personnel shows that Kenya is borrowing from the best. So we want to benchmark ourselves against universities like MIT and also the Korea IST. Madam Speaker, in saying this, this institute will also ensure that our universities actually find teachers, actually find professors. Where are we training our people if we don't get this kind of institute? We want to emphasize on this so that we can be able to train. But Madam Speaker, I want to say one thing. This university is not a run-of-the-mill university. In our country now, and I want to urge honorable members, we are merely establishing some universities for the sake of having a university. Every member of parliament nowadays is asked by his constituents to have a campus of a university in their backyard. And it's a university that is not going to do anything different from the university that is already next door. Why do you want our university next to your house? Who would want to go to Kilgore's university if it is not a specialized one? Why wouldn't you want to go to a university that actually will make a difference in your life? This idea that we are now establishing, we are asking government, put a university in my village, put a university in my village. That is not the way to go. The way to go is this one. A university that will be established should be a university that will make a difference, like this university that is going to emphasize on our innovation, that is going to emphasize on R&D. Let the universities be different. And lastly, Madam Speaker, let us do as much as possible to keep our diplomas, to keep our artisans away from in their specialized area, not in their university. So let the Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology be the best institute of technology in producing artisans and specialists in a certain level. But let those who go to this institute called ICE be those who have already undertaken these degrees already in an undergraduate level and are now prepared to go to a specialized university. Madam Speaker, I beg to second.
I now propose that this House, the question that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the draft charter for the establishment of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 7th April 2026, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 24(1) of the Universities Act, Cap 210 of the laws of Kenya, this House approves the award of the charter for the establishment of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Yes, Honorable KJ, you can go at first go. And members who want to contribute, you can press the intervention button.
Madam Speaker, I must first start by thanking this committee and its honorable chair for bringing this to the floor of the House in such a timely manner, Madam Speaker, because what we are prosecuting this afternoon, which is their report on the consideration of the draft charter for the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, which we are fondly calling Kenya IST, is so timely, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the institute that we are speaking about today has already been established, it has been built, and it sits as an icon for advanced training in engineering, science, and technology, Madam Speaker. But Madam Speaker, I must also start by mentioning that while we are having Kenya IST, KAIST as an idea is not a new idea. We are borrowing from a country called South Korea, Madam Speaker, where there is a Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. And Madam Speaker, we only need to see what has happened in Korea for us to appreciate what has been set up at Konza, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this institution shall be seeking to train Kenyans and Africans in advanced science and technology in fields that have been enumerated, Madam Speaker, including mechanical engineering, nuclear engineering, electrical and electronic engineering, civil and environmental engineering, ICT engineering, chemical engineering, Madam Speaker, and even agrobiotechnology engineering, not only for Kenya, not only for the East African region, but for the entire continent, Madam Speaker. Why this becomes so important, Madam Speaker, is because today we are reading the news, Madam Speaker. We are watching what is happening in America. We are watching what is happening in the Western world, Madam Speaker. We are also seeing what is happening on this drive that is going against the development that was leading us towards a united world, Madam Speaker. And so each country has to start thinking independently on how they shall be developing their talent. And I think on this one, Kenya gets it very right, Madam Speaker, that we shall be producing the people who in the future shall be the proponents for the development not only of country, but also of Africa, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I speak this authoritatively, looking at what is happening in South Korea, Madam Speaker. The KAIST University in Korea is responsible for these amazing developments that we talk about of the rising Asian tigers. What we have seen Korea do in mechanics, in engineering, in the development of automobiles, Mr. Speaker. What Korea is doing in the development in technology, what they are doing in computing, Mr. Speaker, has to be celebrated, but it can also be fully credited to KAIST, the Korea Advanced Institute for Science and Technology. And so, Mr. Speaker, as I acknowledge the change of guard on the seat, Mr. Speaker, this motion that has been brought here for us to consider the draft charter is so important because we shall be remembering as a house that the 13th Parliament okayed for us to have an advanced institute for science and technology. And 30 years from today, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you for sure the products of Kenya ICT shall be defining the future not only for country, but also for the continent. Mr. Speaker, I must add that at the inception, Kenya must also look at the countries that are succeeding in the training of science and technology. We ought to learn from what is happening from the rising tigers of Asia. We have to look and ask ourselves, what is this that is happening in China? We must also look, Mr. Speaker, and ask ourselves, what is this that European countries are doing when they are changing their long existing laws to be true to the time and space that we are living in today, knowing that the world is a completely new world and it is calling for completely new skills. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I do stand to support this report on the consideration of the draft charter for Kenya ICT, an institution that we who are in sector are really celebrating because we know the revolution that is just about to happen in technological training in this country. Mr. Speaker, I will end it by saying this, that even as we are training the young people in the areas of science and technology, we have to remind our young people that Africa led in science and technology long before the world learned how to read. It is always forgotten that Africa was a leader in science and technology. We always imagine that what we borrowed from the greats, Plato and all these geniuses from the Greek, from Greece, Mr. Speaker, we always want to accredit all education to the Europeans. But we forget that even the greats themselves had to come to Africa and learn. And it is out of what they learned after raiding our universities in North Africa, after raiding our universities in West Africa, after raiding the universities of this area and raiding the universities of Zimbabwe, it is only then that they were able to develop that which we are taught today, and it is attributed to Plato and the boys. It is attributed to all these other names that they put in their textbooks. But the truth be told, that the establishment of Kenya East is bringing science back home where it belonged. That when man learned how to walk upright, when man learned how to manage the environment in Africa, it is only then that man developed into science and technology, and some of the most advanced technological advancements are in this continent, Mr. Speaker, and the pyramids of Egypt bear me witness that up to date, even with Western technology and education, the white man is yet at pains to explain how we were able to build a pyramid that is in perfect alignment to not only other pyramids that have been set up around the world, but also in perfect alignment to the arrangement of stars and other heavenly bodies. At a time when people want to tell us that Africa was primitive, Africans were already in great commune, not only with their environment, not only with their globe, but also with the universe, Mr. Speaker. And so, for me, this is a great day when we debate this draft charter for Kenya Advanced Institute for Science and Technology, knowing full well that today we are starting Africa on a great scientific exploration that will lead to great scientific discoveries that shall be born right here in the motherland, in Africa. Education developed in Africa, in a place called Konza. And so, Honorable Speaker, I do stand to support this report, and I do ask members to see the great advancement that is in this Kenya East and support this draft charter so that we can go ahead and have it acknowledged by the President so that training in science and technology can start at Kenya East. Mr. Speaker, I thank you so much.
Very well said, the Honorable KJ. This chance is now for the Honorable Member for Dagoretti North, the Honorable Biti Selachi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Mutunga. You know, I don't like being bullied. When the Speaker left the seat, she said, those who contribute to press intervention. The first person on that intervention today is Honorable Biti Selachi, followed by the Honorable Mutunga, then Oundo, then Wandeto. It will go that way.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to really appreciate and thank the Committee of Delegated for bringing this report into the House. Mr. Speaker, you remember the vision of this Kenya Advanced Institute Science and Technology was muted way back in 2008. So I want to thank the late His Excellency Mwai Kibaki and the late Honorable Raila Odinga for muting this vision. It was their vision. And Mr. Speaker, we delayed. And then in 2019, the plans to build was publicly announced. And we moved on, but we want to thank His Excellency the President because in 2022 is when he formally established now this idea, a dream to now come out for Kenyans to understand why we need a Kenya Advanced Science and Technology University. And Mr. Speaker, in 2023 to 2025, they've been able to construct and finish. So in 2026, we are waiting for operationalization to see now university students coming in. But more importantly, we need to thank that we are now partnering with KAIST, which is the Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. I can tell you they are very strong globally. It is always ranked among the best universities in the world on issues of nuclear, robotics, and I can tell you, if indeed we are going to see our students join this university, I tell you, we will have the best in the proposed flagship masters of mechanical engineering in robotics, electrical, electric, and many people always wonder, what is electric, what is electronics? Electric is dealing with generators, with our transformers, with issues of power generation. But then electronic, that we will have our students learning now how to deal with smartphones, microchips, embedded systems, and many others. And so for us, in this house, we should really, really be proud to say that if we can have this launched in 2026, among the many things we have done in this house, and this house has really passed many things, Mr. Speaker, many, we've unlocked a lot for the country. As much as people will say we are jokers, but one thing I leave, after joining Parliament when I was in Senate in 2013, and this 13th Parliament, we shall be remembered for unlocking Kenya in many ways, in many sectors. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge now the young people, focus, those who are engineers, just go and do your masters. Electromagnetism, telecommunications, nuclear power. We are looking for people who can help us within the medical sector. When we talk of radiation, when we talk of safety, we really need to have our people trained in this. And so, Mr. Speaker, I am hoping that we will take advantage. If there is a university that is good in AI, it's this University of Korea. It is among the best. If there is a university that you can learn how to deal with safety of radiation, radiology of cancer, it is this university. So for me, while I support the report, I am supporting the report because I know this is going to really change the whole idea of how we look at things, how we look at science. And we've been very low in research. You realize most of the universities have gone really down. And therefore, that bill of education, we need to really do the amendment to reorganize back the structures of our education system, the way they used to be those days. And I'm hoping we shall never change a university based on their charter just to make it a university. That is where we went wrong on the education system in higher education. And so when we find ourselves with CBE, let us try and reorganize back the system. If it is diploma, let them go to TVET. Certificate, let them start at the right level. Let university be university. People will say, oh, it will be unique, it will be special. It is supposed to be special because that is where the minds and the brains must go for this country. So we cannot run away from that. But the most important thing, all of this, our children, if a child will want to advance and get to university, let them start at the right level. Let them move. And I can tell you, we'll find ourselves going back to the days when you entered university and you'll feel you've come to learn. Today, I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the way we are doing, even when we go back for our parallels, we wonder. We ask ourselves whether this is the same university we went through, you know? And I'm hoping we can also reorganize the infrastructure in the universities, that they can have and enjoy the way we enjoyed. We used to have a good mess for food. You know, we've just left our children. That's why even they wonder, how are we moving to this world to take care of Kenya? How? Yet when they go out and see the other universities across the world, there is a huge difference. So we must reorganize. It is unfortunate when you see the dorms, even when I pass at Cheromo, when I pass here at the university, and you look at where our children are sleeping, and you wonder, this was the hostel those days when you entered. You respected that hostel. Today, the curtain is the bed cover. In fact, and the window is gone. Painting is no longer there. the university looks more worse than where the child came from high school. In high school, CDF has helped the schools, they are looking better. This university looks, you even wonder, have they gone for knowledge? Have they gone for torture? What have they gone for? And so even as the university, we cry for lecturers, it is time we cry for the infrastructure to be redone. We are doing affordable housing. Let those who are doing affordable housing go and do social corporate programs just to reorganize the universities also. It is important for our own children, for them to understand when you are at the university and you've come from Turkana, there is a difference. Not the way we see the things we see today. So, Mr. Speaker, I know this will be a very unique university, but also let us not turn it around and make it a profitable university where now the poor cannot afford to go and do their masters. Let us not try and do that also. Let us make it a university of merit. That I've come from JKUAT, I'm an engineer, I can go there and just do my masters. Let us not make it again a profitable university. So, Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, I just want to plead with the university management teams. You have land, you have property, you can also think how to use this property, Mr. Speaker, to reorganize back the universities. You know, it is unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, every time when you look at how we are bailing out universities, you feel very sad. So with those remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
Well said. Honorable Mutunga, that's your chance now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this motion. Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank the committee for this great idea of starting this Institute of Advanced Science and Technology. Honorable Speaker, right from the outset, I would like us to consider the title. Honorable, the title reads, Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. I want to read that title once more. Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. My understanding here, Honorable Speaker, what will be advanced here is the form and not the function. We could rename this as a house and be better placed into Kenya Institute of Advanced Science and Technology. Because what is advanced here is not the infrastructure of that particular institution, it is the content or what goes on in that institution. So now, Speaker, I propose that as we wind up this particular debate, we could also consider the title. And let's not just adopt any title from anywhere, because we also are thinking. The second issue, Honorable Speaker.
Where's the Honorable Chepkonga?
Honorable Speaker, I have spoken with Honorable Chepkonga on the sign lines, and he concurred with my.
I hope you're taking notes on that issue. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Honorable Speaker, the reason why, let me just say one or two things about this. Honorable Speaker, we would like to consider many things about this institution. And one of them is the qualifying characteristics to the institution. How do we do the vetting? Honorable Speaker, in my presumption, we should look at what is one planning to advance in, not what degree do I want to have. What proof of, what evidence does one have that they can now proceed to do genetic engineering, medical engineering, and so on and so forth. So, Honorable Speaker, the qualification needs to be properly looked into, because every university has got its own character. The particular character I'm thinking about in this particular university is that this is a university that is going to advance technological development and innovation. So it will be an innovation center. This is where people will be thinking about innovations, they will be looking at the future of science in the world. And unless we challenge the brain on our speaker, we cannot come up with innovation. A good innovator looks at what is new and different. And in that respect, on our speaker, we need a very thorough vetting process to give merit the chance to allow students or learners to join this university. Honorable Speaker, it should be an all-round university. We have listed several. There is absolutely nothing wrong in advancing even in social sciences so that we can innovate the science of the social science of the future. This being an innovation center, we can look at how do we then, or probably we mandate those who will be charged with the responsibility of running this particular institution with the responsibility to look at how advancement can be interpreted in the context of this particular institution. Mr. Speaker, we should also desist from the multiplier effect that Kenyans normally think about. When a business appears successful, when an idea appears to work, when an innovation appears to work, it is multiplied in this country. People multiply very quickly. Right now, we have close to 100 universities in this country. Everybody wants to put up a university to offer degrees. And the quality should be the overriding factor. And here, we're not looking at the quality of the degree, it's the quality of innovation. And there must be some standard to measure the quality of innovation. So, we should have only this and protect this as the only institution in the country that is going to be vetting highly skilled personnel and extremely good ideas so that we can allow innovation to take the center stage. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in this particular institution, we are considering it as the clearinghouse. We should be able to look at it as also the clearinghouse. Honorable Speaker, there is a lot that is not clear in the world today. As a country, we may want to clear certain things. This house has delivered on certain issues, and we've never gotten a backup. We have no backup plan. We have no institution we can say, when this institution has spoken, the best mind or the best, the idea has been fully and competitively verified. So we should look at this university or this institution as the clearinghouse for the many ideas or the many issues that we have to deal with. I'm calling it so, Honorable Speaker, because we have had 2 instances in this house in the biological sciences where we have had issues. One matter. And Honorable Speaker, we should regard this particular institution, the statement from this institution, it should be developed to such a level whereby a statement from this institution is the law, is final. It has been thoroughly verified, thoroughly looked at, and properly, judged, and therefore we should be able to believe. Because we waste a lot of time, Honorable Speaker, going to and fro over things that have worked elsewhere. So we could also consider it as a verification center for what we think ought to be verified or looked into in terms of whether it is working or not. Honorable Speaker, looking at the centrality of this institution in the map of Kenya, I find, where it is placed as central enough. If we take care of the software properly, then we can be able to get an institution that will measure up to the expectations and that will also measure up to the standards of that particular institution. And also it is with those few remarks that I propose adoption of this particular.
Because you're an academic, before you go.
Yes.
And I've had a debate this afternoon. We had something called Kenya Science.
Yes.
Then we had the Kenya Polytechnic. How do you guard against this institution they're setting up? How do you guard against what happened to those 2 institutions? Because they're also specialized.
Honorable Speaker, what you have done to our institutions is allow them to do anything. Kenya Science started in training, sorry to use, I don't want to be specific on discipline because I'll brand Kenyans. But Honorable Speaker, it was not a pure science institution. It became an all-round. And I think because of wanting numbers and because of lack of capacity to run in terms of having enough money, enough budget, then institutions open up too much. We are saying this one should be preserved, properly funded.
Mutunga, Kenya Science didn't have that problem. They just made it a university. That's what they did.
Yeah, they made it a university.
They made Kenya Science University. They made Kenya Polytechnic University. How do you protect this from also being inflated by those things you're talking about.
Honourable Speaker, what I'm trying to say is that Kenya Science was a mid-roll level institution. It was not offering degrees. It was offering technical training. And even the other one was also offering technical level training. This is an advanced level, postgraduate level. If somebody wants to go and do a master's in this particular institution, you should come up with an idea that is leading to an innovation. You should convince the board of admission that you are going to come up with an innovation. You are not just going to come up with a degree. And that is the level at which you should look at it, Honourable Speaker. Thank you very much.
This is just for now for, is it Dr. or Mr. Wilberforce Oundo? Professor Oundo.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. By the good work of myself and for the prayers of the people of Funyola, before I came here, I had already acquired a PhD from the University of Nairobi. Nowhere else. Nowhere else. Honourable Speaker, let me also join my colleagues in supporting the report of the Committee of Legislation on Kenya, establishment of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology in this country. Honorable Speaker, this idea was mooted very, very many years back as part of the Vision 2030 under the able hands of none other than President Emilio Mwai Kibaki. Honorable Speaker, it has taken long to actualize, like many other brilliant projects, ideas he had, and now we have a physical campus, we are told, at Konza Technopolis. Honorable Speaker, the very idea of advanced institute leads towards extreme level specialization. Extreme level specialization that probably due to the nature of the standard universities might not be able to reach at that point because of some other challenges here and there. Honorable Speaker, we in the academics, before we came here, there has always been one challenge all over, that many times the general degrees are too general to equip the students with diverse skills and knowledge to survive in a multiplicity environment, a multifaceted environment. As you go to the master's level, Honorable Speaker, you start now to hone up your idea or your level of specialization. At PhD level, Honorable Speaker, you have taken one particular path, but then you are trained mostly on matters of research, innovation, to enable you change this society. Honorable Speaker, we have had a challenge in this country. There has been a rush. Even anybody, I have nothing against anybody. Even those people, or some who even could not pass exams in Form 4. Yes, there are those exceptional cases. Somehow find their way through the line, and that's why, Honorable Speaker, it gets to a certain point, they become paper academicians, if at all. They make no innovation, they make no innovation in this country. Honorable Speaker, I want to echo the sentiment of Dr. Mutika and Hari. It should be surely their progression to that institute must go through thorough vetting, so that wherever we are taking there, we are taking people who are interested in research, invention, and innovations. We are not just taking people there who basically probably just want to become lecturers or paper academicians. We know in this country, Honorable Speaker, and this has happened, you would find somebody who has a master's degree, but give him a pen and paper without a phone or a dictionary, they cannot construct a sentence. Simply why? Everybody is now buying papers, alleging they are buying papers. Honorable Speaker, there is no way, in normal circumstances, you could take, during our times, you could take less than 3 years to do a PhD. Nowadays, we see people sit in government offices, within a few years or one, they are brought papers seated there, and then they go to the graduation square. Even if you ask them take us through even any research technique, they have no idea at all. We have people who simply do other things, and all of a sudden, people you knew very well, they have no brains. All of a sudden, you hear they have a master's. So even if you challenge them in their area of study, they will simply dismiss you because they cannot sustain an academic argument. We must reset our mindset in this country. We got to a point that some jobs required a certain level. For example, especially in public sector, for you to be promoted required a master's degree. Many went and bought those master's degrees, and that's why you find we continuously have challenges. Challenges in service delivery in this country. Honorable Speaker, as we speak about technology, we had a very good model, Honorable Speaker. Some, like Dr. Nyekal here, during their days, they were technical schools. So somebody who has got an affinity in technology would go straight to technical schools and go that way up to the way he would come to Kenya Polytechnic. It is sad because everybody now wanted a university. We wanted to churn out mass to join the labor market. We even turned very specialized polytechnic, like this Kenya Polytechnic, into a university, even now starting teaching food and beverage and music. How? Yet when you used to see the equipment the university, the Kenya Polytechnic had, it's just a terrible waste of resources, Honorable Speaker. We must go back. And I just hope and pray this new education system, CBE, will manage to take us back to where we were. You do not have to go to university to study anthropology if you can go to a TVET and study electrical engineering. Vision 2030 is geared toward manufacturing and industrialization. That's where our focus should be. Honorable Speaker, this gives us an opportunity to rethink. Honorable Speaker, why would everybody want a university in their village? Why would everybody want a KMTC in even a level 1 hospital? Our mind is warped up. As a country, we must change and rethink afresh. We have a long way to go, but we can reach there. As we continue, we just hope sufficient funds will again be available for research. We just hope sufficient funds will be available for the researchers to actualize their inventions. A sufficient resource will be available for them to patent their invention so that they are not copied or taken away by other superpowers. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, this should be a chain, the top chain. We must not forget TVET institutions. Honorable Speaker, if you meet and speak to many principals of TVETs, even national polytechnics, they say the last time government sent a capitation to students in those colleges was 2024. Up to now, they have never sent any capitation. 2 financial years. Yet we expect those ones to deepen research, deepen industry, deepen technology. We keep on deluding ourselves. We create a problem. We leave a problem unattended. We try to do some grandiose things. We wish and hope the money is being wasted on affordable houses in brick and mortar could be taken to train these boys and girls so that this economy can have the impetus to move forward. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Thank you. Honorable Wandeto.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute on this very important motion. And Mr. Speaker, from the onset, let me say that I fully support the accreditation of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Mr. Speaker, I was a member of the ICT committee before, but that is not important. What is important is that I have some history with this institution because it was under the ambit of the CII committee and have indeed even visited the premises of this upcoming institution. Mr. Speaker, this is how nations leapfrog. And as a country, if we hope to get to some of these fancy destinations that we have had in the recent past that we need to go to, then we cannot just go through empty promises. We need to follow a practical path. And the establishment of Kenya East is one of those very practical steps that can enable this country to move forward. Mr. Speaker, this university is modeled, just like my predecessors have said, is modeled along the Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. And the history of K-East in Korea is that it is one of the institutions that have made that tiny Asian country become such a global icon today in matters of technology. Korea, as you know, is a leader in semiconductors, in electronics, in robotics, in advanced engineering, and so many forth, such that the Korean
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude on supporting the motion, but Mr. Speaker, it's too painful, Mr. Speaker. If you see your colleague being attacked because of having a different opinion, Mr. Speaker, it is not good. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say in this parliament, Mr. Speaker, some of these people who are doing this nonsense, Mr. Speaker, let them know that today is us, but tomorrow it will haunt them, Mr. Speaker, because it's painful, Mr. Speaker. That's why you can see people are ordering police to throw tear gas on us, Mr. Speaker. When we are doing our duties, Mr. Speaker, it is too painful, Mr. Speaker. But anyway, Mr. Speaker, let me support the motion and say that we need the KAIS at the university to be established as soon as possible, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, at the onset, I stand to support this very important proposal, and that the House, and beg that the House does approve the award of the Charter. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have lots of universities that came along giving degrees in theology and whatever, etc. But we forgot that the industry of this country and the industry of the world depends on science and technology. Mr. Speaker, when the German Reich was defeated, the Americans and others took all the engineers to their country. As a result, they built many things, including Concorde and other such planes. I remember, Mr. Speaker, when I was in high school, in Nairobi School, or Prince of Wales, we used to go to a science, I think there was a science fair somewhere here towards Decorati. Maybe you also remember, where we used to go and...
I wasn't born. I wouldn't remember.
You weren't born?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. But it was a very exciting position where students up to Form 4 and Form 6 were coming up with very innovative projects. Here in this country, M-Pesa was connived here. It was derived from our intelligence. It was built on our flexibility, and it's worldwide. Mr. Speaker, sir, the disaster, what is it called, reproach system, where they collect all the information, was designed here in Decorati by a Kenyan. That is used by the United Nations and everybody else. Mr. Speaker, there was a time that a brick, they called it a brick, which, well, about maybe you were born at that time, but not very long ago, maybe 20, 25 years ago, maybe 30, where the internet had just come up. And people had problems to get net. And there was this brick that was formed. It was a power bank. It gave you internet and gave you other facilities. And brick was formed here again, somewhere in Decorati Corner, by a few individuals and a European gentleman, and they went and started doing research and identifying animals in the Masai Mara. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology was formed on the same basis. And I was remembering that when we were doing this, that there are so many other institutes of science and technology. When you speak about Korea, I was in Korea, and we saw some of these things. And I remember one gentleman who showed us how he started making pencils. Pencils, sir. Here in this country, even our toothpicks are coming from abroad. When we go to the State House, we are given this little towels. They put water on it, and it blows up, and that's also coming from abroad. We play golf. Those little teas, sir, it can be made by any child here coming from abroad. So this Advanced Institute of science and technology is one that sits as an integral part of Kwanza City. Kwanza City was thought about as a city so that we could develop certain initiatives, certain strengths of this country and take it forward into the world. Science and technology, sir. Do you know that one of the best organization that took place, although we ran him down, Professor Bell, he did have some sort of a treatment or whatever. He did have it. And remember, Speaker, we used to go to Tanzania for some of these things. During the COVID.
You go to Loliondo?
No, I know about it, yes. But yes, I knew very much about it, yes.
Did you go to Loliondo?
Yes, sir. We did, but not for what you thought. We passed that when we were going to go and pay our respects to Mzee Nyerere, Julius Nyerere. And I did go with Baba at the time and others. But going back to this situation, sir, it is very important that at a time that we are looking at what is called raw earth, I don't know what they call it, raw earth or whatever. The Americans and the Chinese are coming to Africa. There's a hill somewhere in Ukambani. I don't know how many $1 trillion worth of some mineral. Silicon comes from this country here. There are so many things that we can do in this country. We have with 60, 70% of our population is youth. We need an advanced institute of science and technology. It will add on to the other institute, this what we would call the polytechnic type universities. We were technical colleges, technical schools, but thereafter we need to build. We need to build, and I'm not, it's not far away, Mr. Speaker, that we are going to have robotics in this country. In this country, Mr. Speaker. I was in Switzerland, and there was a young man from Kenya, the slums of Kibera, who was picking up old computer parts and regenerating them and building into them other things. That gentleman was honored in Switzerland, and he was given a scholarship to go to United States. We lost him. These are the sort of things that we need to generate. The institute, the Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, does not have to be there just for masters and PhDs. No, no, no. We are there to develop our own innovation. I see no reason why, Mr. Speaker, we couldn't have built our own car. It was there, but we didn't do it right. But there's no reason why, even at this moment in time, Mr. Speaker, we cannot build our own car from the beginning to the end. Mr. Speaker, this country will become a consumer society. We really need to build. When you go to South Korea, you go to China, you go to other places, a lot of money, even the President Xi, is going around the country and developing innovation centers. So we as Kenyans, and especially Africans, we must take advantage of this. We must take advantage of AI. We must not be left behind, but we want practical solutions and practical uses of some of these issues. These issues like climate change, all of these are all very nice ideas. But Mr. Speaker, can you imagine for a minute that if we could develop that silicon chip here in this country, where much of our silicon comes from between here and Congo, and some of the minerals that are coming from here, and if we could develop a technology, Mr. Speaker, to draw that water from Turkana, underneath Turkana, which is bigger than the reservoir of Lake Victoria, if we were able to get that technology, if we were able to get that oil that we got with this tallow was us, Kenyans. Most of the workers of tallow were Kenyans. So it was taken away. So if we could do some of these issues, if we could work on some of these matters that are hounding us, If we could, for argument's sake, get the Nairobi River sorted out and generate power from it, if we could then reuse our plastics and generate other issues from them, we would be far. So, Mr. Speaker, I stand to support the establishment of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Well said. Honorable Mudende. Mudende, Leo, Jeru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to this motion. And as a student of science, a graduate of biochemistry, I say this is long overdue. I remember the university challenging lecturers on some of the practicals we used to do in biochemistry, while our counterparts in Europe, US, and some parts of Asia were doing advanced research. They were doing advanced tests at that time. We were still extracting cholesterol from mice, which I remember really, because I'm a good student of science, I was really asking, what do we aim to achieve? Therefore, establishment of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology is a breather for any scientist who has been complaining that we focus so much on importing rather than innovating our own. And we have very unique circumstances here in Kenya. My only concern is that we are focused so much on engineering, especially electronics, electrical. But then in the field of medicine, we have left out genetic engineering. We have left out medical biotechnology. I see there is agri-biotechnology, which is very good, but we also have medical biotechnology and genetic engineering, which are the current frontiers in treatment, especially for diseases or conditions like cancer. Therefore, if we can also add such, whereby we can have our own developments here, and we have brains, we have people who always end up working, lecturing in other institutions. Most of my classmates actually lecture in the US, and we need now these people to come back to Kenya so that we stop importing and start innovating. Another field is phytochemistry. I believe our forefathers were very good in identifying which plants were good for which ailments. We still have some of this, and with some of these chemicals, we can actually develop our own medicine, patent, and sell out there. So I want to say, Mr. Speaker, this is a very important time in our history as scientists when we have a lab or an institute which promotes innovation and reduces the brain drain that we see with most of our brilliant scientists only finding themselves useful outside Kenya. I come from Bere North, where coltan has been discovered. It will be very sad to start exporting raw coltan, whereby instead of having the Kenya Institute of Advanced Science and Technology having a course on refining coltan to its elements, and then we start making this, some of these resistors here, capacitors here, and maybe even some of these components of mobile phones, so that Samsung iPhone can actually import some of these parts to assemble in other places, or even they come here to assemble, because it's a very important component even in electric vehicles. So I look at this as one of the most important things that will pass, and I support this motion fully. Let us support the establishment, the ones developing the curriculum to look at medical biotechnology, phytochemistry, and also genetic engineering, because that is where we are headed in the field of medicine. I support this motion fully, Mr. Speaker, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Boyata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to add my voice to supporting the establishment of Advanced Institute of Science and Technology in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. If I look at the global space, we have Korea Institute of Advanced Technology and many other countries that tend to understand the importance of technology have established similar universities, Mr. Speaker. This particular motion, the reason why I support it, Mr. Speaker, one, is going to make Kenya the regional leader on issues of science, technology, and innovation, Mr. Speaker, and they put us at par with the countries like Germany, countries like United Kingdom, countries like Israel, countries like Japan, countries like South Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, and many other countries that have been able to advance on matters to do with technology, Mr. Speaker. Kenya is a net importer of processed product, Mr. Speaker, including very minute items like toothpicks, Mr. Speaker. And it's a shame, 61 years after we attained internal self-rule, we are still importing most of the items that are consumed in this country and losing a lot of foreign exchange in this regard, Mr. Speaker. So with this particular institution anchored in the country, Mr. Speaker, we are going to mitigate the importation of essential items, Mr. Speaker, and promote manufacturing and industrialization, Mr. Speaker. If you look at our country, Mr. Speaker, many of our youth are still unemployed, Mr. Speaker. So with this particular institution being established in Kenya, we are going to generate employment opportunities, particularly in the line of technology, manufacturing, and industrialization. And this is what we have been looking for or waiting for many, many years, Mr. Speaker. I happen to live in many countries, Mr. Speaker, and all the countries I've lived, technology is a key ingredient in terms of development, and it is important, Mr. Speaker, as patriots, we think for current and future generation, Mr. Speaker, and that's why I support this particular motion, because I mean well for Kenya, and I would want to see an advanced country and a progressive nation for that matter, Mr. Speaker. Importantly, Mr. Speaker, our GDP, if we want growth in gross domestic product, having technology embedded in our plans for economic growth, Mr. Speaker, we'll be able to have growth in our GDP. Because the moment we start manufacturing and exporting what we manufacture within the East Africa community and beyond, our GDP is going to grow, Mr. Speaker. Again, through manufacturing and industrialization, we'll have to have a healthy balance of trend. That is import and export. And this is what is going to boost our economy in matters to do with growth, Mr. Speaker. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, when we talk of infrastructure, we cannot talk of growth or development, meaningful development, Mr. Speaker, without technology. We talk of bridges, proper roads, and also issues of agriculture, climate, that is smart agriculture, and the climate adaptation technologies, Mr. Speaker. All these you find in science and technology. If you go to Russia, Russia has integrated technology in agriculture, Mr. Speaker, equally or similarly to Israel, Mr. Speaker. And these countries are able to progress, feed their people, and export. And that is why we need to have these level of institutions to teach and build human capital that can compete with the rest of the world and align itself to what the world needs, Mr. Speaker. We talk of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Where can this be offered if we don't have this institution, Mr. Speaker? So to be very well and advanced on matters of STEM, we need institutions like Advanced Institute of Technology, Science and Technology, Mr. Speaker, so that we have skilled labor force that can be depended on in Kenya and other countries, Mr. Speaker. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, through having an Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, we'll be able to solve current problems and the challenges which could also emerge in the future. Recently, we had Corona, the COVID. It was a big problem, Mr. Speaker. Even to get vaccines, we were dependent on foreign countries to bring vaccines to our people, Mr. Speaker. So if we had these institutions, research and innovation, then we would have been the leader to provide temporary solutions and permanent solutions to emerging challenges of now and the days to come, Mr. Speaker. Pathological studies would be required to be done, and that can happen when you have institutes of science and technology, both on issues of health and many other fields that are needed for advancement of this country, Mr. Speaker. Security, Mr. Speaker. We have seen the war in Iran and the war in Ukraine. Iran, Israel, and United States. Ukraine and Russia. What they are using is technology, Mr. Speaker. Actually, I feel pity for Kenya if at all we engage ourselves in this similar level of wars. They're using drones, they have air defense system. We see the David Sling for Israel, the Iron Dome in Israel. What do we have in Kenya, Mr. Speaker? That is a gray area. So if we don't think and prepare for future, we will be a colony of other nations, Mr. Speaker. So if we want to remain competitive on security, Mr. Speaker, we need institutes of advanced technology like yesterday, where our labor force can be trained and we start manufacturing products that can build security platform for the country, to defend the country and to be able to put ourselves at the same level with the advanced nations, Mr. Speaker. Artificial intelligence is another area coming up. All this is happening in the countries with departments for research and innovation, Mr. Speaker. Robotics, etc. Even today, modern planes, they are dependent on artificial intelligence. So, Mr. Speaker, this is very timely, and we need to move with speed to ensure we have a very functional and advanced Institute of Science and Technology in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. And then lastly, Mr. Speaker, for us to move from talk to action, Mr. Speaker, we are the only house that appropriates budget. And we can only talk of a functional and advanced Institute of Science and Technology if we plan well and appropriate budget. We need to resource enough money for research and innovation so that we become self-reliant and have a country that can actually support our neighboring nation, Mr. Speaker, because you know for sure Kenya is the economic powerhouse of East Africa, Mr. Speaker. And this glory can only continue and be solidified and enhanced with the science and the technology, Mr. Speaker. And that's why I urge your members to support this motion, and I rest my case and support the motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Suba North, followed by the member for Seme, and then the honourable Mayaka. In that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to join the other members of Parliament who have spoken ahead of me in supporting the establishment of a charter for the Kenya Institute of Advanced Science and Technology, or Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Mr. Speaker, from what you have heard members saying, technology is today and technology is tomorrow. And Mr. Speaker, with the world is going, unless we are able to move with it, we'll be left behind. It's actually the new revolution, like the way we had the Industrial Revolution, and technological revolution is actually the current revolution. And Mr. Speaker, for those of us who travel a lot, you do notice that there are many, many ways in which if you are not able to keep up with the technology, you are not able to actually keep up with the rest of the world. Members have given diverse reasons why we should actually keep up, but some of them, Mr. Speaker, include the daily convenience and efficiency. Mr. Speaker, there were things that we used to do and it would take us 1 month, 2 months. Now you are able to do in 10 minutes. Mr. Speaker, when I was in the university, and I remember you are challenging I don't know if it was Honorable Shakil and is making reference to some time, and you said you are not yet born. I don't want to attempt. I don't want to attempt. I might just discover that the date I'm talking about, you are not yet born. So, Mr. Speaker, when I was researching at the University of Nairobi, what used to happen is you'd go to the physical library and you would have searched for that law report very seriously. And you go in and you find it, and because they are very scarce, you find the specific item you're looking for, somebody plucked and went off with it. So that was a very common aspect of university life. I'm very, very happy, Mr. Speaker. I think I'm very happy that I went to school right now. I actually thought it was going to be a challenge, but it's very exciting because it's very, very different. Now, I remember, and I'm glad there are other members of parliament who are also in the same class with me. And I remember at one point when I was struggling, and we have an assignment and I'm taking longer, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and KJ is here, I was in my class. And they are telling me, Billy,
Which class?
PhD class, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
We are serious people here, PhD. So we might actually just be going to this one for now, advanced PhD in innovation and technology. But Mr. Speaker, what they told me is, they say, Millie, how are you researching? I was still going back for my physical documentation, reading, and God knows what. Then they gave me all the engines. You have the engine for everything, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, now what then happens is that the researcher could be doing for 4 months, now I can do for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Of course, it comes with many challenges. And the challenges that it comes with, Mr. Speaker, and that's why you actually need an advanced University of Technology and Innovation, that we also don't understand and we've not kept up with it. Like, even up to yesterday, I was actually doing one of my assignments, which coincidentally was on the challenges we face in fisheries. And we were also doing the Fisheries Act. And Mr. Speaker, one of the challenges that I was facing is after I do my paper, because now I'm becoming very technologically savvy, and I actually went and did an AI checker. Plagiarism, I'm at 2%, meaning if I've plagiarized or appear to have plagiarized 2%. But AI first attempt, 67%. So I go back and rework my document, use my language as much as I can, it moves up to 57%. What is the challenge? The challenge, Mr. Speaker, is when I use my language like in situ, ex situ. It appears as not plagiarized, it appears as AI generated. But because I'm already a technical person, so when I in-feed things, I appear as AI. Mr. Speaker, you know I'm that serious, but do I say that my language, and Mayaka was telling me that it is called what again? What you were telling me yesterday, that the computer, now because I speak, my words are in, I'm machine what? Yes, I have machine-motivated language. Because I speak in parliament, I use the same language. It is online because I shared this. So when I share the same language that I speak here in parliament, it appears as AI. How then can we deal, even from an academic perspective, how do you deal with such situation so that you don't then consider me as actually using AI? It's just, I am a walking AI, Mr. Speaker. We need to actually see, and it's one of the things that I'm going to actually ask my university to look at. There is a bill that I've seen that is coming on AI, and I will actually raise these issues, that we might actually have to bring it as a regulation issue or as a substantive legislative issue. How do we deal, say, when we are doing research on AI? And secondly, because AI is also information that is infed by humans, where do you expect me to get information? The same way I'll get it from a textbook, it's the same way it will appear in AI. So if I use good language, I am told if I say recipes are loquitur, AI. If I'm to use exquisite, AI. Anything I use that is at a degree above the normal English, AI. So we must actually then find different protocols of science, dealing with science and technology. And that is something that unless we have people with specialized knowledge, will face a challenge. Mr. Speaker, of course, the issue of advancement in health and technology, And I've had my good friend who is learning very, very fast from our new member, who has talked about phytochemistry.
It's called
Wamudende?
Yes, that's his name.
Why are you telling me Wamudende? I'm the one who even escorted him here. It's just that you know that one is, the Wamudende is very different from Otieno Nyango, so sometimes it takes a while. Plus menopause is also catching up, yeah? So, but with the science and technology, you can also find ways of dealing with the menopausal symptoms like disappearing names and all that. But I was just saying that in terms of even as a medical field, as a person who has done a lot of research in the past on plant genetic resources and their medicinal values, if you actually then get into the field of innovation and science and technology, we'll be getting cures for things that hitherto were a challenge for us in the world. And Mr. Speaker, for instance, one of the greatest challenges I faced growing up as a young girl was a problem with fibroids. And for me to actually deal with it, I had to actually go and undergo very serious surgery. It's a major surgery. But now I'm told there are less invasive ways of dealing with it because of science and technology. And increasingly, Honorable Nyikal, I think, wanted to inform me of it, but he can inform me when he's actually talking because he's advanced in those areas. But because of science and technology, things that used to be very problematic are changing very fast. Mr. Speaker, you can't believe that because of also, technology, that I'm able to do so many multiple roles. Within this period, I think I've been the period of 3 months, I've been to my constituency, I think 6 times. I've been to Mexico, I've been to, I don't know, God knows, Australia, I've been to South Africa, I've been to God knows where. If it was the days of technology, without technology, Mr. Speaker, I would still be on my way to Mexico, just one direction. But because of technology, excuse me? Yes, I am doing very well. I've always done well. I'm a global leader. Mr. Speaker, that's why I'm a bad girl, but do I say? And Mr. Speaker, because of even interconnectedness, so many times, Mr. Speaker, I walk into airports, even now when I was coming from South Africa 2 days ago, a lady just stopped me and said, at the airport, and she says, I know you from somewhere. I told her, well, probably from TikTok. And it turned out that, yeah, she knows me from TikTok. I get that all over. And Mr. Speaker, technology in a very strange way is also forcing us as leaders to lead correct lives. I cannot go around now doing anything in Nigeria, Uganda, Tanzania, in any manner, because technology exposes me everywhere. Mr. Speaker, I can see my time is up, but I had a lot to say. It enhances trade. Look at M-Pesa. And Kenya is actually a leader in this. Mr. Speaker, again, I was talking about many challenges, including gender inclusion. Women are still left behind. And we must learn to adapt. And otherwise, we'll be left behind. Otherwise, I fully support. It is an idea whose time is now. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Lekakeny, do you want to speak on this? Because I've not seen your card order. I'm speaking to the Honorable Lekakeny. Oh, okay. Great. Then this is your chance, Honorable Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Something must be wrong. I've been here.
What is wrong is that the Honorable Sunkuli is also called the Honorable Lekakeny.
Okay.
That's what you guys don't understand.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, I rise to support the establishment of Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Mr. Speaker, I say that when I see this, Africa is once again rising to acknowledge and embrace science, because the world has got the social element, the physical element. And the physical element of the world is basically whatever we do, whether it is buildings, whether it is clothes, whether it is food, whatever it is basically science. And all that we do actually in universities is basically to study how the world works, how God created the world. All these forces that we see, Mr. Speaker, they existed before. About 40 years ago, you could not speak on a telephone without a wire connecting you to the next person. Now we are actually using waves. These waves were not created, they are not new, they have always been there. And it is when you get these institutes of advanced science, that is when you actually delve deeper into the knowledge of the physical world and find forces that we need to harness so that we can improve our existence. So the existence and the progress of humanity is actually linked to science, understanding science, and that is why I really support the establishment of this institute. Mr. Speaker, we also must realize that when we talk of science, engineering, and technology, sometimes we actually do not make the link. What we are talking of here is actually the top of the range. But we must realize that we will need the middle range to actually utilize these people. And Mr. Speaker, if you look at scientists, pure top-level scientists, they just tell you what scientific facts are, what are the sciences that exist. Then you will need technologists and engineers to actually find out how do we apply this in daily life. So the physicists will tell you how the nuclear, how the atoms and the electrons react. But then you say, how do you use that? And for that, you will need technologies and you will need engineers, and at that high level. So we must have this as the leading, at the leading age, but it must be supported. In reality, for a certain number of this level of persons that will produce, you also need other people at lower technology level, lower engineering level, and even at certificate level, so that these people can actually apply the technology and the science that come from these institutions in industry. Because industry is mass production, and mass production starts with science, then it gets into technology. How do we use this to improve life? Then we produce products. If you get into a situation where you produce these people, but there are no technologies that can actually carry out what they do, Mr. Speaker, you will then end up with academicians. Or what will happen is most of them will actually leave the country. Other countries will pick them. So when we go to this level, we must be prepared to actually invest more, not only in the institute, but also in the utilization on the products of these institutes. Mr. Speaker, what we must guard against is when we start an institute like this, and you raised it earlier during the discussions, that sometimes we start like this, and in the end, they just become another university. What happened with the JKU Art? When we started the JKU Art, I think it was supported by the Japanese, the same way we are now supported by the Korean. But eventually, you just get other courses, and it becomes another university. And the cutting edge is so expensive. If we don't put money in it, then we find it easier to get general degrees. And once they become large numbers, we get enough resources from that, and these ones just die. So you have JKU Art started like that. It has not remained at life. You are talking about Technical University of Kenya. The idea was exactly the same, that university was to be a technical university dealing with technical subjects only. What has happened now is just becoming another university. When we started with Egerton was also supposed to be leading. And what therefore we must do...
What is the issue?
The issue here is financing. That is the basic issue. We must accept that we will need to invest more. And the returns are normally slow and long. And if you're not patient, we want quick returns. And if the universities are not well funded, they start looking for money elsewhere. They get courses where you need a blackboard and a chalk, or now just computer, and you can teach. When you are at this level, it is high-level research. When you're doing research at nuclear level, when you are doing research at phytochemistry level, that is now high-level research, and we must put money in it. And if we put money in it, then actually it will produce what we want. That danger is so big that if we don't look at it, then it will be something we celebrate now, and in about a year or in about 5-10 years, it's just another universities that people are clamoring to get into. And again, what other countries do is we must also get, like when you get this university, we must link it with industry. In other countries, there are actually industrial research parks, which means a university like this is linked to industry. The ideas that they create are actually funded by the industry and immediately taken up and put in production, so that the business people can now run it. So it is a great idea, it is a beginning, but we must be willing and ready to finance it, support it, and protect it from the danger of just becoming another university. With that, Mr. Speaker, I support.
The Honorable Mayaka, followed by the member for Malindi, then the member for Marakwet West.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. But even before I contribute to this motion, I actually wanted to inform Honorable Millie before she left, but I didn't want to interrupt her flow of thought. Because what she spoke about is something that, Honorable Speaker, we call the Internet of Things. What she's experiencing, where there's an integration between people, technology, sensitivity of devices that we use, to an extent that sometimes if, for example, you're thinking about buying an outfit and you log into your Instagram or Facebook, the first things that actually come is the outfit that you examples of the outfit that you want to buy. And also the kind of language that you use, because machine learning takes control of the kind of language that you use to an extent that you feel like AI knows you better than what people know. And to an extent that sometimes when you're doing an assignment, then the indication is that there's a lot of AI involved. But it's because of the nature of the Internet of Things. Millie has gone to class just like myself. We both do online classes. But also, again, that's another advantage that we have with technology. Honorable Speaker, to the motion at hand, first of all is just to thank the chair of CII. I was a member of the CII committee, and I remember when this conversation was really one of the key issues that we deliberated on. I was also very lucky to be among the members who had an opportunity to visit the Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology in Daejeon. And what I saw there, Honorable Speaker, and especially for me, the excitement was even seeing young Kenyans who've gone through KAIST, young Kenyans who were speaking in the South Korean language, who acted as our interpreters, and also who enabled us to see just how beneficial having a similar institute in our country would be great for us. An Honorable Speaker, for me also is to thank also the Committee on Delegated Legislation, because they took the baton from the CII committee. They ensure that now we have a draft charter so that we are able to see the benefits of this particular institution. Honorable Speaker, I've looked at the 7 main programs, postgraduate programs that are going to be offered. And for me, and especially because in the STEM space, we don't have a lot of young women and even older women who are participating in this. I'm really hoping that one of the things that this institution will seek to do is encourage and go to schools where we have young women who are interested in STEM, so that they can also get into this particular institution and study some of the very unique courses they have. And just to list some of them, like mechanical engineering, nuclear engineering, electrical and electronic engineering, civil and environmental engineering, ICT engineering, chemical engineering, and biotechnology as well. Honorable Speaker, also for me what is very important is the fact that as a parliament, we are helping to ensure that we have a very important charter being established. This is very unique to us. We don't have many African countries that have this already. And so this is going to open a lot of spaces to encourage even young people from across Africa, from other continents, to also come to Kenya to be able to study this. Honorable Speaker, the other thing, and especially about technology, because nowadays you can't run away from just how important technology is to us. And for me, what I'd really would like to see once this charter is completed, once the legal aspects of it are completed, is that we actually have a situation where the principal of this particular institution and everyone else who is involved goes out there to ensure that we're encouraging as many Kenyans as possible to register and for these courses, so that we're not only focusing on the usual postgraduate courses that we do, but that we're encouraging people into this particular journey of getting into the technology space. So, Honorable Speaker, once again, thank you to the committee for bringing this up. We support it fully, and we hope that it starts working as soon as possible. I thank you. I submit.
The member for Malindi.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia huu wakati ili na mimi niweze kuweka sauti yangu na mawazo yangu kuhusu huu mswada wenye ambao uko mbele yetu. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, nichukue fursa hii niweze kuunga mkono huu mswada wenye ambao uko hapa mbele yetu wa chuo kikuu ambacho kitakuwa kinajihusisha hususan na masomo ya sayansi na teknolojia. Mheshimiwa Spika, wacha ieleweke ya kwamba dunia ya siku hizi bila masuala ya sayansi na teknolojia basi huwa nchi haiendi mahali. Na mimi niko hapa nikiunga mkono masuala ya sayansi, hichi chuo kikuu ambacho kitakuwa kinahusika hususan na masuala ya sayansi na teknolojia, kwa sababu naelewa umuhimu wa sayansi na teknolojia kwa vile ambavyo dunia ya siku hizi ilivyo. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, kama vile wabunge wengine walivyozungumza, sisi kama nchi na taifa ya Kenya tuko na vision yetu, tuko na malengo yetu. Jambo la kwanza, tuko na hiyo vision 2030 yenye ambayo imeambatana na sisi kama Wakenya kuwa na chuo kikuu ambacho kitaweza kuhusika na masuala ya sayansi na teknolojia ili Wakenya waweze kujiendeleza mbele kuhusu masuala kama hayo. Mheshimiwa Spika, pale ambapo pamenivutia zaidi ni yale masomo yenye ambayo kwa nguvu za Mungu tukipitisha hapa bungeni hicho chuo kikuu kinakwenda kufundisha. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa wale ambao hawaelewi Kizungu na ndio maana sisi tunazungumza Kiswahili, kuna masomo baadhi yenye ambao ni mazuri na ambayo yanaweza kuleta manufaa katika taifa letu. Kuna masuala ya mechanical engineering yenye ambayo kwa Kiswahili ni uhandisi wa mitambo. Kuna masuala ama masomo ya uhandisi wa umeme. Kuna masuala ya uhandisi wa ICT, uhandisi wa kemikali. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna uhandisi wa ujenzi na masuala ya kilimo. Kwa hivyo hata hizi masomo yote yenye ambayo yanakwenda kupatianishwa na hichi chuo kikuu ni masomo yenye ambayo yanaambatana unyo kwa unyo na maisha yetu ya kila siku. Mheshimiwa Spika, yale masomo ambayo yanaenda kutoanishwa pale, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni mambo ambayo yanaweza kutusaidia sisi kwa masuala ya madawa, kwa masuala ya ukulima, kwa masuala ya makazi yetu ya hapa na pale, na ndio maana nimeweza kusimama hapa na kuweza kuunga mkono mswada. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, wacha pia tuchukue fursa hii tuweze kushukuru serikali pia ya South Korea, kama vile ambavyo nimesikia wazungumzaji wengine wakisema ya kwamba tumeweza kuambatana na kuungana na wao kuhakikisha ya kwamba mswada umeweza kusimama kidete, na kwamba ninavyoelewa ya kwamba nchi ya South Korea wako tayari na iko tayari kuungana na nchi ya Kenya ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba masomo katika hichi chuo kikuu kimeweza kuendelea vizuri. Mheshimiwa Spika, unajua ni vizuri watu wanapojihusisha na nchi zingine ili kuweza kubadilisha mawazo na kuweza kubadilisha elimu. Na najua nchi kama hiyo ambayo imehitajika, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni nchi ambayo pia iko mbele na imejisatiti kwa upande wa teknolojia. Kwa hivyo kukuwa na partners kama hawa, Mheshimiwa Spika, ambao wako tayari, wamesimama kidete kuweza kushikana na sisi ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba tumeweza kubadilisha mambo yetu ya sayansi na teknolojia ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nazidi kuunga mkono huu mswada. Masuala ya utafiti pia nao Mheshimiwa Spika yasiweze kubaki nyuma, kwani sisi kama Wakenya tunajulikaniwa ni watu wachapa kazi. Mheshimiwa Spika, sisi wa Kenya tunajulikaniwa ni watu wenye ambao tumesoma na tumenajisaidia kwa upande wa masomo yetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna vitu kadhaa wa kadhaa ambayo sisi kama Wakenya tayari tumeshawahi kuunda, tumesaidia katika kuiunda, na kuna vitu ambavyo tayari vinaonekana vinatumika. Mheshimiwa Spika, masuala ya utumizi wa M-Pesa, Mheshimiwa Spika, najua kuna nguvu na jasho la Wakenya wenye ambao waliketi chini na wakaona hii idea ni nzuri, na saizi Mheshimiwa Spika, M-Pesa inaweza kutumika kila mahali, na niko na imani ya kwamba kuna Wakenya wengi kule nje Mheshimiwa Spika ambao wako na ideas nyingi za kuweza kusaidia na kuweza kusaidia katika utafiti na teknolojia na sayansi yetu ya hapa nchini. Mheshimiwa Spika, kitu ambacho Mheshimiwa Spika ningeweza kuweka mdomo wangu pia hapo ni kuhusu masuala ya fedha. Mheshimiwa Spika, kama vile shule zingine zinavyoendelea hapa na pale, maombi yangu ni kwamba tunapounda hichi chuo kikuu cha kujihusisha hususan na sayansi na teknolojia, wacha pia na sisi kama wabunge na serikali ya Kenya iweze kujua ya kwamba hili si jambo la kuchezewa, hili ni jambo lenye ambalo litatupeleka sisi mbele. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hivyo masuala ya pesa, masuala ya funding, sisi kama wabunge, sisi kama viongozi, tunapoweka hichi chuo kikuu ili kiweze kusimama sawa sawa, Mheshimiwa Spika, masuala ya pesa pia lazima yaweze kuangaliwa. Ningeweza kuomba wenzangu ya kwamba chuo kikuu ili kiweze kusimama vizuri ni lazima pia pesa ziwe zinapatikaniwa vizuri. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hivyo tunapofanya bajeti yetu ya nchi, Mheshimiwa Spika, tuweze kuweka pesa nyingi pia pale. Mheshimiwa Spika, matatizo si kusoma peke yake, kwa sababu masomo yanaweza kupatikaniwa kila pahali. Mheshimiwa Spika, kitu ambacho kinatatiza ni utafiti, na utafiti Mheshimiwa Spika ni kitu ambacho si rahisi. Kwa hivyo na sisi pia tuko tayari. Kama sisi kama Wakenya tumesema tunaelekea direction hiyo, ni tuwe tayari kuweka kitita cha pesa cha kueleweka, ili wale wanafunzi ambao wanafanya utafiti wa madawa, utafiti wa ukulima, utafiti wa ujenzi, utafiti wa mambo mengi, waweze kuwa na enough resources za kuweza kuwasaidia ili kuweza kufanya kazi zao. Mheshimiwa Spika, na nikimalizia Mheshimiwa Spika, kawaida ya kila mwanafunzi pale anapomaliza kusoma Mheshimiwa Spika ni kuweza kupata kazi. Tunapoweza kuweka hivi vyuo vikuu vingi Mheshimiwa Spika mbalimbali vinavyotusaidia hapa na pale, tunataka ya pia hawa wanaokwenda kusoma pale wasiwe ni watu ambao tunawasomesha kisha baadaye waende nchi za ng'ambo. Tunataka ile knowledge yao na kile ambacho wameweza kujifundisha Mheshimiwa Spika kiweze kutumika hapa ndani ya Kenya. Ni sisi tuwe tuna nafasi ya kuweka kazi, ya kuweza kutengeneza kazi, ili wale ambao wamekwenda kusoma pale waweze kutusaidia sisi hapa ndani ya taifa yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hayo mengi machache, asanteni sana na naunga mkono mswada.
The Honorable Member for Marakwet West, you got, from my records, we have to ask the member to reply at the next 5 minutes, so you got 5 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'll be very fast. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this very important motion on the draft charter for the establishment of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I rise to support the letter, the spirit and the intent of this very, very important motion. Honorable Speaker, Section 24 of the Universities Act empowers the President to establish specialized degree awarding institutions of strategic importance. Honorable Speaker, further, this particular law provides that this particular institution shall be able to produce highly qualified scientists and engineers with theoretical and practical knowledge of future industries in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, for Kenya to progress as an economy, for Kenya's economy to grow, Honorable Speaker, we must be able to industrialize. And Honorable Speaker, to industrialize, we have as a country to be able to provide, to produce top-notch scientists who can be able to study, do research, and be able, Honorable Speaker, to advise the country in terms of advancement in technology. Honorable Speaker, this week, we watched American astronauts with AO as they traveled more than 400,000 kilometers to the moon to study, to do research on our planet, to do research and study our universe. Honorable Speaker, whereas in Kenya, we are busy discussing politics. We are busy discussing numbers on the next election. Honorable Speaker, we should be ashamed as a country. Honorable Speaker, as a house, as a country, we must also be very deliberate in allocating funds for purposes of research, technology, and innovation. Honorable Speaker, I've done my little research. And America today is a successful country in terms of technology, research, and innovation because it has invested heavily. They have invested $934 billion in this year's budget. Honorable Speaker, Singapore, the country that we so aspire to be, has invested $37 billion in innovation and research. Our neighbor South Africa has invested $1.5 billion. Honorable Speaker, Kenya, in the year 2025 budget, we invested a mere $7.2 million. Honorable Speaker, we cannot achieve or aspire to be Singapore when we don't invest money in research and innovation. So, Honorable Speaker, as I support this motion, I also encourage this House to be very deliberate. We allocate more funds. Let us establish this particular important university, but also invest more funds in research, innovation, and technology so that we industrialize as a country. We have more scientists who can be able to advise and also be able to, to guide us on matters to do with innovation and technology. Honorable Speaker, for those reasons, I support this very important motion.
Well said. I think it's time now for the mover to reply. Honorable Gichimu.
Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity as I reply to thank all the members who have created time to contribute to this motion, and also thank them for unanimously supporting the Committee on Delegated Legislation on this report for establishment of Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Honorable Speaker, it has come out clearly that this is a matter of national importance, and all members of Parliament from all divides have really supported this, and it has really shown the journey to Singapore is real. If we can establish such an institution, which is the first in kind in Africa, I believe Kenya will be a benchmarking country for matters of science and technology. And we hope that after the Parliament passes this, it will be fast-tracked so that this university or Advanced Institute of Technology, Science and Technology will become a reality and start benefiting Kenyans and Africans and all the others countries that are supposed to benefit, and in future we'll be able to reap the benefits out of it. Honorable Speaker, without much ado, I beg to reply Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. I will say it. No members are.
And
Go ahead.
And Honorable Speaker, I request that you defer the putting of the question for obvious reasons, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, and thanks members for this. I always wondered how debate would happen that when a member speaks, he walks out. The next one speaks, they walk out. Who is supposed to make the decision after you contribute? Because I've been sitting here and every member who contributed walked out soon thereafter. The putting of the question on this particular motion will be done the next time it's loaded in the order paper. Next order. The Honorable Maungu.
Order number 9, motion, consideration of the draft charter for the establishment of the Kenya Medical Research Institute.
Out of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to standing order number 35 that we seem to have a quorum hitch in the House.
Maungu, you just walked in. When did you count the members? Okay. Okay. Good. Could we have the quorum bell rung for the next 10 minutes? Makali Mulu, you just walked in. You can't walk in and you are making a loud noise about sleep. Maybe you have just from sleep yourself. Who knows?
Hakuna whip.
Good evening. You have been watching KBC and we have been bringing to you live coverage of the National Assembly. The members of the National Assembly have been discussing the motion on adopting the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the draft charter for the establishment of the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. For now, the House is facing lack of quorum and the bell is being rung for 10 minutes to allow members to come in and maybe to fill the the required number of members, that is 50 out of 359, so that the House can continue with its business according to the standing orders. On the order paper, there is also a motion to adopt the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the draft charter for the establishment of the Kenya Medical Research Institute, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 7th April 2026, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 24(1) of the Universities Act, Cap 210, this House approves the award of charter for the establishment of the Kenya Medical Research Institute. In the order paper, also there is a motion to note the reports of Kenya delegations to the assemblies of the Interparliamentary Union (IPU) and related meetings as follows: 147th Assembly held in Luanda, Angola, from 23rd to 27th October 2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 24th February 2026. 148th Assembly held in Geneva, Switzerland, from 23rd to 27th March 2024, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 18th September 2024. 149th Assembly held in Geneva, Switzerland, from 13th to 17th October 2024, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 5th December 2024, and 150th Assembly held in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, from 5th to 9th April 2025, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 14th October 2025. The National Assembly is also expected to discuss a motion to adopt the report of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on its consideration of the Defense Cooperation Agreements, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 2nd April 2026, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 8(4) of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act, Cap 4D approves the ratification of the following defense cooperation agreements: agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the French Republic, subject to reservations on Article 9.5, 13.3, and inclusion of new articles on community relations, environmental protection, and training areas. Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the Czech Republic, subject to reservations on Article 14 and inclusion of a new provision on jurisdiction. Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the People's Republic of China, subject to reservations on Article 10.22 and inclusion of a new provision on training areas. Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, subject to reservations on Article 11, and agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the Republic of Zimbabwe, subject to reservations on Article 15.5 and inclusion of new articles on environmental protection and training areas. On the order paper also is a motion on consideration of the consolidated fund services under the supplementary estimates for the financial year 2025-2026, and that this House adopts the report of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee on its consideration of the consolidated fund services under the supplementary estimates for financial year 2025-2026, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 7th April 2026. Also on this afternoon's order paper is the bill on the Equality, Healthcare and Patient Safety Bill, National Assembly Bill number 41 of 2025, that is expected to continue to be discussed on the floor of the House. Also, the Kenya Judiciary Academy Bill, National Assembly Bill number 42 of 2025, is one of the bills that the National Assembly is expected to continue debating on this evening. The Forest Conservation and Management Amendment Bill.
The Minority Whip, could you approach?
National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2025 is also another bill that the National Assembly is expected to continue discussing this evening. For now, the House is facing lack of sufficient quorum. Remember, National Assembly needs 50 members out of the 349 members of the 13th Parliament in order to continue with its business according to the order, the standing orders, and also according to the Constitution of Kenya. The Forest Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2025, is also lined up for debate this evening, and it's a bill that was brought to the House by the Majority Leader of the National Assembly. There is also a motion on consideration of a petition regarding delay in resettlement of squatters under the Chepkumia Land Exchange Program, and that this House is expected to adopt the report of the Public Petitions Committee on its consideration of a public petition number 69 of 2023 regarding delay in resettlement of squatters in Koibem and Ngerek villages, Nandi County, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 11th November 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 34(5)(b) of the Forest Conservation and Management Act, Cap 385. That the boundaries of the South Nandi Forest be varied by excluding 10.62 hectares in the Kaimosi block along the Yala River from the original boundaries of the forest for the settlement of documented squatters from Koibem and Gerek villages in Nandi County, and for attendant public utilities as planned under the Chepkumia Land Exchange Program. That the 910.62 hectares so excluded under paragraph A be degazetted and allocated as follows: 266.88 hectares be allocated for the settlement of the documented squatters from Koibem village, 455.45 hectares be allocated for the settlement of the documented squatters from Gerek village, and 188.29 hectares be served for attendant public utilities. Also on the order paper this evening, National Assembly is expected to continue discussing.
It's more than 10 minutes. So, you can stop the bell. You don't have quorum.
One has been bringing to you live coverage of the National Assembly. Also on the order paper is a motion on fifth report of the audited accounts of various state corporations in Western Region for the financial years 2018, 2019 to 2020, 2021. Motion also, one of the motions
All
also.
members, for obvious reasons, and the time now being 6:10, this House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 9th April 2026 at 2:30 p.m.